I got this great question from a subscriber. How can I incorporate music theory into my bass playing? Well, today I'm going to show you. I'm obsessed with this great man's bass playing. I'm going to take you through some music theory ideas in that kind of style, but you can really apply this to any style. Right, so let's start. We are in the key of E major here. That's the first thing. Scales are really important, as you already know, but you build harmony from scales. Here's an E major scale, 1 octave. And the root notes, which are very important to us, are the lowest notes in the chords. That's an E. We don't have to worry too much about what chord is based on that yet. We're just going from E open string to C sharp, 4th fret of the A string. These are root notes. We're going to get progressively more sophisticated as we go. I will leave this backing track for you to practice with, and you can download that via the link below. Here it is, 90 beats per minute. So you've got 1 bar, 1, 2, 3, 4 of E to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 bar of C sharp minor. If you listen to the hi-hat, we've got 16th notes. As bass players, we need to be all over the rhythm. So we're going to use a few 16th notes here. Those are 16th notes, but we're not going to play consistent 16th notes. We can even do 8th notes, which are these. Let's try that. What happens when we get a bit bored of just root notes? Well, there are a few things you can do. One of them is to use the notes of the key that we're in. So that's E major. Even better, I think, is the pentatonic scale, which is this. Maybe you know that pattern there. If you remove the 4th and 7th notes from that scale, you are left with only 5 notes. And those notes are really, really good to go from one root note to another root note. Let's try that. Here's the shape down towards this part of the bass. Let's just use those notes alone. That's something you can practice, just to link the 2 root notes together without thinking too much more. Let me explain a bit of harmony now. So from that E major scale, which is 7 notes, that last note is the E again, we can build triads, arpeggios, and chords. And when we do that, we have a lot more options than just the one root note to use. Let me run through the harmonized E major scale now in 7th chords. There were 7 different arpeggios there, built on the 7 different degrees, as they're called, of the scale. So go back to what I did at the beginning. I played an E, then I went to a C sharp, which is the verse of what's going on. And musicians would call that a 1-6 chord progression, because the E is built on the first note, and if we go all the way to 6, that's the C sharp, so that's a 6 chord. And the arpeggios built on that are E major 7 and C sharp minor 7. So the 1 chord is major and the 6 chord is minor. Now we don't have to cram all those notes into the bass line. It would be too much usually, but we can use them to expand. So let's think of something like this. Root note on the E, then to the C sharp. And we can use the notes of the arpeggio. I think that's one of the real big things that you need to learn, is that you have a scale and then you can harmonize that scale. Whilst this lesson is going to focus on a major scale, you can do this for anything. You can do this for modes, melodic minor, harmonic minor, and it opens up a whole world. Let's use the drum beat. I will connect the E to the C sharp with some major pentatonic, and then maybe use some of the minor seventh arpeggio on the C sharp. That got me thinking as I was playing to talk about what music theory is. It's the elements that make up music. So we've already talked about harmony, that's one of the big ones. A little bit about rhythm. I'm actually simplifying rhythms a bit because you've got to meld to whatever style you're in. If I was sort of doing a poppy thing, I might go, eighth notes might work for that. But melody is another big thing. And James Jamerson is actually a great bass player to talk about, because if you listen to his isolated bass lines, they are a song in themselves. They are very melodic. Let's talk about that. Something like that. So I'm on the C sharp here. And it's all about linking one chord to the next in the most musical way that you possibly can. And there I'm just running up the notes of the E major scale. So when I'm on the C sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E, and back down again to the B. And that allows me to lead into back to the E really musically. How do you get these ideas? Well, it's simple-ish. You listen to the great bass players and you just work out what they do. The more you learn about theory, the more you will hear these ideas coming up time and time again. It gets easier. Let's change the chord progression a bit. Let's go to the 2 chord, which you might remember is the F sharp minor 7. The 2 chord is minor. Now this isn't what's going on, but let's go to the G sharp, the 3 chord, and that's also minor 7, same. So let's do that. Let's see what that sounds like with a bit of rhythm in there. So if you're playing the 2 to the 3, that's minor to minor, that would be what you would do. You would know your arpeggios. In this case, it's great because it's the same shape on the 2nd fret and the 4th fret, and that's easy enough to follow. To achieve true mastery, you would need to know those notes all across the fretboard to have more opportunity to express yourself. Whilst keeping it fairly simple for this lesson, what about this? That minor pentatonic shape, which again you might know, which goes across all 4 strings, you can use those notes on both of those root notes. They fit. That gives you more options. Again, absolutely don't play them all because it might lead to overplaying. You've got to be a bit careful with that. But for the purposes of demonstration, let's see what that might sound like. Yeah, I like it. Just bass on its own with drums, it would work, but you can see how that might get a bit too busy. Allow me this really random aside. Earlier today I was playing, and I remembered an album I was introduced to about 25 or so years ago by a band called The Egg from the UK. This sort of live dance electronica band. And one of the bass lines was this. I would need to work out where it goes afterwards. But it uses all of those notes that I've just shown you. That's the idea. I'm not sure back then if I really would have analysed it this way, but music theory has helped me so much in terms of writing and memorising stuff because of patterns that, I can see that now. Look, root, octave with a fifth in there. There's that flat 10. These are all intervals. And bass lines are just made up of intervals and some scales, which are themselves intervals. It's all about that. I really should do a lesson on that band. It's great. And then rhythm-wise, we've got lots of syncopation, da, 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 which are notes off the beat. You can take that idea and run with it through these chord progressions. Let's do that. This is really random. I haven't planned to do this. But let's, and I don't know how it will work with this drum beat, but let's do something a bit similar to that. I'm going to use the E with its arpeggio, E major 7, the 6, which is minor 7, and then the F sharp minor 7 and the G sharp minor 7. I'll use all those chords and I'll see what happens. That's what it's about. You borrow ideas from the great bass lines that are out there. You figure them out, get under the skin of it, get under the hood of it. What's happening here? We've got arpeggios, we've got pentatonics. It's always all the same things. And then you borrow the ideas you like and you work on it enough that eventually your voice comes out of this. You're never going to sound like someone. All your different influences coming in together is going to turn into you. Returning to the original question, how can I incorporate music theory into my playing? Well, to me, it's everything. Rhythm, harmony, melody, all of these things together are going to help you if you allow them. You just learn them, you figure them out in relation, in context to real music, and that unlocks it. It doesn't make you play in a cold way. I think it opens up creative doors. Obviously, you're working on your technique at the same time. You're working on playing in time. You're working on feel, those things that make bass playing amazing. You've got to work on all of those things together. If you have any burning questions about bass playing, do leave a comment or get in touch via my website or whatever channel that I'm available on, which is all down below in the description. And I'll get back to you and maybe do a lesson on it. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next lesson.